What is up, everyone? Welcome to today's podcast on the UndialedTV podcast channel, or on Spotify, or on Apple Music. Hello, our viewers. I am so stoked to talk to you guys today. Today, we actually have a wonderful, wonderful guest. I'm going to let this guest introduce themselves. So, Mr. Guest, who are you?
My name is Aaron Hill, also known as Doubleavideo in the scootering community.
So tell us about Doubleavideo. I feel like most people in scootering know you as Doubleavideo. What does that mean? Who is Doubleavideo?
Yeah, so, Doubleavideo is me. I mean, the name...
Yo, Aaron, sorry, just to cut you off real quick. Could you be like a fist away from the mic?
So closer?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so... Just get comfy.
So
there we go. Okay, yeah, so Doubleavideo is me. It's as simple as my name, Aaron, AA, 2 A's, double A. That was kind of a nickname I had growing up. I think my dad gave it to me, or some people in baseball or something.
they just called you Double A?
Double A, yeah.
That's a sick name.
Yeah, I liked it. It'd be some people would be like, oh, like a battery? And I'd be like, yeah, I guess.
That's funny.
I always ran with it, and yeah, I feel like, I don't know, a lot of people got it. Sometimes people didn't. I remember Tanner. It took Tanner Fox, like, it was like years later. He's like, someone called me, someone spelled out my name. He's like, I just realized that's why it's Doubleavideo. Yeah,
no, I remember having that realization, like, after seeing your YouTube channel, and because that's where I knew Doubleavideo from, is watching all of your edits before I actually knew who you were. And when I saw it, I was like, Doubleavideo. And the first thing I initially thought, I was like, he thinks his videos are so good that he's like, my videos are double whatever yours are. So I initially thought it was that. So at first I was like, dang, this guy really thinks he's something. And then like, it must have been years later that I was just like, Double A. Oh, for Aaron. And then still, like, last night when I was spelling your name, I was typing it in, and I typed in ARR, and I was like, no. It's AAR.
That's why I made the channel so that people would have an easy way to spell my name in case they needed to text me or something. So, yeah, that's why I did it. It's public service. But
so you turned Doubleavideo into a YouTube channel, and I feel like that's where most people know you and all of your content from. So tell us about, like, the start of that YouTube channel. Like, when you first started filming, I noticed, like, on your channel you had clips of, like, your scooter check and a lot of, I don't know, it seemed like you were just experimenting with videos a lot. Like, tell us just about those beginning times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, dude, I just looked too, because I was just curious right now. I figured it was about time. So it's like 15 days from now will be 10 years since I started it. Yeah, so I started it in 2011. And
what grade were you in school?
I was in 7th grade. I was in middle school. And yeah, I mainly started it with a few of my friends. There's my friend Aaron, my friend Justin Goulet, who some people might know because he worked at Claremont Skate Park, and he had some edits on my channel that got some views, and my friend O'Shea. And we all would just ride, go to the skate park, ride. We all kind of picked up scootering at the same time. O'Shea and Justin used to skate, and then O'Shea got into scootering, and then, like, some of us that weren't that good at action sports stuff, we, like, picked that up a little better. But it was mainly like what it came from was going to the skate park and filming. What? Because I wasn't good enough to ride as much as everyone else, you know?
So you getting a camera, how did that all come to be? Like, because there must have been a point where you guys were just going to ride at the skate park, and then eventually you got a camera. Like, so how did that happen?
Well, so for the first while, I filmed everything on my iPhone 4.
Got you. Okay.
I was filming everything on my iPhone 4.
On your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
Got you.
Well, so I started it in January of 2011 in anticipation of we were going to make a movie. We're calling it Tail Whip the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're making that. And that's actually, it's so funny because that was like the reason to make the channel. And that's not even on the channel anymore. Because like back then, that was when YouTube, like when you got copyrighted really hard, they would just delete it.
Yeah.
So they just deleted it. So it's not even there. And I thought I lost it, and I found it recently, like on a burned to a disc, like a couple weeks ago.
Tail Whip the movie.
Yeah, Tail Whip the movie. So it's on there. I think the trailer's on there, because that started because that was right when iMovie first introduced the thing where you can make trailers.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's what the idea came from. We were playing with that, and it was like, oh, this is so epic.
And we're gonna make the movie.
Yes, exactly. So we did that and basically like filmed our parts, you know, but like none of us could really ride that much. And like the best thing anybody could do is like a double whip. But it was the inception of making that. And in doing that, I realized like, you know, filming this is way more fun for me than the riding. Because like the riding just didn't quite click for me. I mean, it was fun to like cruise around and like I could do a few things, but
Did you feel like when you started filming, you felt like your horizons widened with what you could do? Like did you have that moment where you're like, this is my craft? Like this is what I want to do here.
I would say that moment came later on because it was, so I filmed for a while with my iPhone. And then I can't remember the name of it. I was just trying to think of it the other day. I filmed with like a Sony Handycam for a while. And it was, that one was a lot of fun with like a screw-on fisheye, and, you know, filmed a few edits with that. And, you know, the quality was a step up, and it was a lot more fun. It was like, wow, okay, this is crazy. And then the one that like widened my horizons and blew my mind was when I got the T3i.
Got you.
Yeah, the Canon T3i. I remember the first time I went to the skate park with that, my group had just started to become friends with Elliot Arnold.
Yeah.
And
so tell us about that merge real quick. So there was like your little posse, and then Elliot Arnold. I feel like that is such a character in scootering who's like, who I feel like is so hardcore and street. Well, maybe not like right anymore, but like he had that persona for a while. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like you filmed all of his early videos, and I feel like it's almost like that persona that he carried and like your persona, I don't feel like would match, but I feel like it did initially. You know what I'm trying to say? And like, tell us about that merge.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that just kind of came to be from, you know, just going to Claremont all the time, having Claremont as the local, which we were, you know, super lucky and blessed to have that be the situation. Just being there was, you know, always good riders coming through. And then just enough times of me filming, you know, this or that, you know, it was enough to grab attention from some of the bigger guys. And Elliot was the first one who was like, you know, totally like, yo, dude, we should start filming some stuff because, you know, he was on the come up as well. He was an unknown rider. I was unknown in filming, and it just seemed like a good match. You know, the one when I think of the T3i and the picture that like, I was like, oh my God, was a picture of Elliot, I think doing like a finger whip or something up the step up at Claremont. And I remember we were just shooting that day, and it was like, this is insane. And yeah, I mean, we just kind of continued from there.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it crazy? Like when you first got your first DSLR and you took a photo and you almost couldn't believe that you took it. Even if it was crap, it was just like, it's so in focus. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. If I were to look back at those photos now, I'd be like, oh, it's all right. But like at the time, it was like, oh my God.
Because it was, what was crazy is I remember when I started to get my come up a little bit, I got everything that I did through photography and through video and stuff like that. And I remember just like, I think at that time, the best photos I could take myself was like from my iPhone. And like thinking about iPhones now, they're pretty good. But like iPhones back then weren't the best like they are now. But DSLRs were like still better than iPhones now. And it's like that like, when you look at the image quality and you look at the precision, it was just like you felt like you have like a tool. You know what I mean? Like the piece.
Yes, exactly. It's like it's a distinct feeling from just pulling out your phone, and it's like, yeah, setting it up and you feel. And you know, I was lucky to have I had this one guy teach me all the basics of the camera, and I was able to kind of pick it up pretty quickly from there to like immediately go to shooting manual everything. And that kind of helps with that feeling because it's like, you know, you're like dialing it in and making sure that you're doing what needs to be done to make the shot good. So, you know, like you have a part of it versus just like, you know, an iPhone, the feeling of pointing and pressing a button is maybe a little less so. But yeah, I mean, it was just coming up with that.
So you were filming with Elliot at Claremont, you were filming with all these people, and then your YouTube channel really started to pop, because I feel like initially it was like you were just kind of doing things for fun, and then I feel like you took on the role for yourself of like, I'm gonna be the person who's filming all these edits. Tell us about then that next phase.
Yeah, for sure. It was, yeah, I mean, like I said, so it started with Elliot. We shot a lot of stuff, and you know, we kind of just came up together. Like he was just getting so much better at riding and just picking up, learning new tricks like every day. And I was just learning new things every day on how to better film, getting new equipment, getting better stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, through that, then at one point he introduced me to Vincent Caderna. And
Legend.
Yes, legend. And then like, you know, he didn't really have anybody good filming him. You know, he was just grabbing random people. So we started filming and it was like a huge step up for him to have somebody good doing it. And, you know, I remember through him, I met Capron and then Corey. So you know, it kind of just expanded. Then at some point in there, it started to become like a possibility for it to be a job.
Yeah. So tell us about when that started to happen. Like, when did you get your first like gig?
Well, my first gig actually came like pretty early on with Victory Scooters. I don't even know if you...
I do know Victory Scooters. Yeah.
They had like posted some video and it was trash. And I like, this is one of the more savage things I did at the time. Like I didn't like leave a hate comment, but I commented and was basically just like, yo, at this mark, what are you doing here? And then also, what is this? Like basically like hit me up if you want something like high quality or something like that. You know, I was basically just trying to sell myself in this comment. And the owner hit me up and, you know, I shot something for him. I think that was even before I got the T3i. And I don't remember what it was for. It was probably for like almost no money or maybe like parts or
some
something.
wheels.
Yeah, something like that. But that was my first like exchange video for that. And then I worked with Scooter Garage.
Yeah.
Which was super random. The way that we met them was actually way back when I was filming for Tail Whip the movie. My friends and I had this spot in Claremont, like not even a spot. It's like a 2-foot gap or something, but it was like the spot for us. It was the Gap.
The Gap.
Yeah, so we were at the Gap.
I feel like every little group of young scooter riders has this one gap, or just like the bank, the you know what I mean,
yes,
rail.
We had the bank as well, yeah. Yeah, no, you got that true. You got that right. Yeah, and while we were at this Gap, this guy just saw us on our scooters and rode up and started asking us about the parts and stuff because he was gonna make a scooter shop.
Yo, so wait, before Scooter Garage opened as a shop, some homie pulled up to you on the side of the road, like the owner, and then he was just like, yo, so tell me about scooters. Imagine having that as your marketing plan, your business plan.
Yeah, I mean, it was the owner of Scooter Garage, super nice guy, AC. He was basically, it was like a passion project for his wife.
That's what I heard.
His ex-wife, I believe. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to say the wrong thing. But yeah, and they had already figured out like some parts, but they were like trying to basically fill in the gaps. Like, is there anything else that we're not getting that we should be getting?
Were they planning on making parts at that time, or
they were not planning on making parts?
Or they just asking guys like, what brand should we bring in?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what brands are you riding? Like, what? Because they're like, we know about this one, and then we basically like told him, and he was like, okay, cool, yeah, we'll look into all that. And then just that connection there was enough for them to like know me. And then at some point later on, I ended up, you know, doing some filming for them. And that was my first like contracted job.
Was that back when they were on that beachside property? You remember that ridiculous property they had? That I remember heard from somebody that their lease costed so much every month.
Yeah, I mean, they were posted up right out there in La Jolla, which is obviously a pretty wealthy part of San Diego. Yeah, I mean, it was a cool spot for sure. It was, it was a fun place. It was cool for me, like to, you know, do some videos for them and help them out and, you know, learn a little bit along the way. And I mean, there were some cool things that happened too. What that kind of started for me was this thing of like, okay, I want to be making videos for these companies. And I want to make them their videos. And then I also want to see like how I can also make a cool video for my channel as well. Because I know that these companies are going to want X, Y, or Z, right? They're going to want like only their riders shown or only their parts shown or something like that. At the same time, I can be knocking out something else for my channel, you know, something that's different or something that they wouldn't want necessarily.
So you used basically like, oh, I'm going to go film these Scooter Garage riders, hypothetically. And then in the meantime, I'm also going to film all of these riders. I'm going to save all of the Scooter Garage clips for this thing. And then I'm going to release my own project with all the other riders.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe not as much with Scooter Garage. I don't know if I was working on that back,
But just like
back then, but
hypothetically, yeah.
that was kind of the idea that started. And
Do you know what's so interesting? Is I remember you and I having this conversation at Woodward like 8 years ago.
oh really?
Because when I went to Woodward for the very first time, I was shooting photos for the scooter farm. And it was when you were kind of teaching the digital media, or like they like kind of put you in charge. And I remember you and I were talking about that, just about how to like maximize like the time at Woodward, because we only had 3 days or whatever. And I remember you telling me about like, I have to film this video for my channel, I have to film this video, and I'm also working on this little other project. And I was just like, all right, like I see it now, I understand it. And I don't know, it's just funny that you brought it up again.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah, dude, I totally forgot about that when, like Richie from Woodward hit me up and he wanted me to.
That's when I first met you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like when you met me, I don't know, I keep remembering it. I'm trying to remember it, but I feel like I thought that you didn't like me at the time. Probably because you thought that I was AA prime, I'm better than you video.
I think if anything, I was probably just jealous of you. I was probably just like, damn, this kid is so established. Like, we're at Woodward. He knows Woodward. Like he's teaching the camp. Like, obviously he's teaching the camp. He's Doubleavideo. You know what I mean? Like, I just.
Oh man. Yeah, that's great. That's crazy. Yeah, dude. That was an interesting thing that came up. It was just super random. And I don't even know. I don't know if I got paid for that or if it was more just like I think what I got because I was in high school at the time. I got like volunteer hours, which was like a college application fee. And I think I didn't even ask for money. I was just like, could we just work that out? And they were like, yeah, for sure.
So how important were those Woodward videos for you? Because I feel like that was like a big part of your success in a way.
Yeah, I guess so. Looking back,
more for, I would say, exposure than for like monetary value, but still, I feel like a lot of people knew you from those videos. Like at Woodward, it was like you were the filmer that was going to put the video out.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely became a thing of like waiting for the Doubleavideo, Woodward video a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting you ask it like that because for me at the time, like that's one thing looking back on it, you know, like I was always kind of separating those things of where I'm like, okay, if I'm shooting for Lucky or Mad Gear or something, like I'm making those videos and I'm still having fun doing it, but that's like to make some money. And the Doubleavideo stuff is just always on the side. It's always going to be there and it's always for fun. Like I was never, ever really concerned about like, okay, how many views can I get on this and how many subs can I gain from this? Let's keep the channel going. Like I literally was just uploading everything because it was so fun to me. Cause like now I can even see it looking back too. Like I would upload like 30-second clips here and there. You know, I would just upload like one clip.
I'm like the double backflip clip.
Oh, the guy
at Cunningham.
Yeah, yeah, but like things like that, or like Tanner's first flare. Like I uploaded on there, or like Elliot Arnold like doing a tuck. You know, I would just upload clips because it was like I love this. Like I was just passionate about it. I loved scootering, and I thought it was. And I still tend to think that it's like one of the more interesting action sports. I mean, there's just so many combinations with it. And doing those Woodward videos was just the culmination of that because it was like, dude, everyone's here. It's
so easy to get content. It's like you could just post up and like on top of the foam pit with your long lens and just be like, all right, let's just get like 10 minutes of footage right now. Like,
yeah, that's what would happen for sure. It would just be like, post up on the spank and like get
and then everyone would just come to the spank because that's where you were at.
Yeah.
And like,
but at a certain point, my favorite thing to do, and I think it was either influenced by, I think it was mostly influenced by Andy Ray. He was doing some videos and you can't even like find him anymore, but I don't remember. He had a name for the video series, but he just did a lot of like, well, what we ended up calling like party lines, which is what I started to fall in love with was. And he was the guy, he was doing a lot of glide cam stuff.
Yeah.
And that's when I picked up glide cam
stuff.
stuff.
Because that was kind of your thing.
Yes, that was the big thing.
I feel like you were one of the first people to bring that into scootering. I feel like people always had like the scorpion grips and they would use like the Rokinon fisheyes and they would do that kind of thing, which is tight, you know what I mean? But you were the first one to be like, I ever saw like running around the skate park.
Yeah, it was definitely inspired by Andy Ray. And yeah, I guess mine would probably be looking more prevalent to the scooter scene just because like I know Andy Ray and Philip Long were doing that a little bit. Oh, Philip less so, more Andy Ray. Philip was a rollerblader, so he would be able to just get smooth shots just by blading.
Yeah.
But Andy Ray was doing the glide cam stuff. But he was always a little less in scootering. He was like more just for like elites and helping Philip along and that stuff. But I was like all in it. So when I was picking that up, then it was, you know, part of that inspiration. And it really was like I picked up the glide cam from wanting to do the party lines, like wanting to do like a line where I can go from like rider to rider to rider.
Are you saying like the line where it's like more than one person in a shot? So it's like you film this clip, then it transitions over to this person, but it's all continuous.
Yes,
Gotcha,
exactly,
okay.
exactly. So, and that goes even way back to like when I was filming with my phone. Like we would try to do that stuff because it was just like, to me, it was always like the dance of filming scootering was, you know, it was like a choreographed dance of both like how can I choreograph my movements and the rider's movements into, you know, making this clip, and doing it with like more people was just more challenging. But for me, it was like, this is way more fun because
It feels cool filming those lines because it's like bam, bam, bam. You know what I'm trying to say?
And
like
everyone has to land their trick.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's got to nail it. You know, I've got to nail it. I've got to make sure I'm getting to everybody and I'm moving at the right pace and all that stuff. And they've all got to land their tricks. So that was always fun for me to do. And Woodward was like the peak time to do that. And it got to the point like later on towards those Woodward experiences where I'd be like scheduling with people, you know? Like I'd be like hitting up like, I don't know, like I'd be like hitting up Caper and Funk and Austin Quentz
Like,
and being like,
Friday night, 8 p.m. party line.
yeah, exactly. Like, all right, we're gonna get a sesh at this skate park, you know. And it was like you said, like, or I guess what you said, recollecting what I was telling you of like, you know, I got this for this video and this for this video, because I was doing certain videos at that time, particularly like I was doing some stuff for Woodward because they were trying to work on their Instagram, and so I was gonna do some Insta videos for them, and then working on my channel and this and that. So it was like, you know, I'd be shooting lines with people. I'd be like, all right, yo, we're going to get, so I'm trying to get like one line for this, and I'm trying to get like one line for my channel. So they'd be like, all right, cool. So we're going to go bust out like a couple clips right now and see what we can get. And yeah, that was all fun stuff. That was all solid at Woodward, other than the one time when I formatted my card and lost everything.
No way.
Yeah, dude. That was like the only time in my life, and I'll never do it again. Knock on wood. This is like the only time in my life that I've ever formatted a card and lost stuff.
Did you actually lose everything?
Yeah. So what happened was I was just being a clown and I formatted it. You know, no real need to get into that. It's just I messed up and did something stupid and formatted the card, and it was like, I'm trying to remember if it was like 1 or 2 days of filming. Like it was like a lot of filming at Woodward, and it was like, bruh. And I spent like basically the rest of the time, like halfway between like, okay, how can I recover this stuff? And also like, how can I shoot more? So I was like borrowing SD cards from people to make sure that I didn't write over my current one that I just formatted. Because I knew if there's any chance that I'm going to recover it, if I keep shooting on it, I won't be able
No, I've
to.
heard that before. Yeah.
So I set that aside and was trying to look into that stuff, but it was also like, okay, let's film. So I would then, for the next like 2 days, because it was like halfway through Woodward, so there were still 2 days left.
Yeah.
So like at that point, I had filmed like stuff with Austin Quentz for a video. So I was filming with him, and then I was also filming stuff for just like a Doubleavideo Woodward video. So like I basically just kind of rallied the troops and like told everybody what happened and kind of got everybody together to try to reshoot their stuff. And for the most part, like it just kind of came together, and we ended up like reshooting most of the stuff. Later on, I did end up recovering some of the stuff.
How does that work?
Not perfectly. It was, I probably spent like 30 hours
because
figuring out how to recover
I heard this rumor one time that maybe this is completely wrong, but like there was a scooter rider. I think it was Dylan Art deleted a clip or something like that, and then came to you, and I was just thinking like, how do people recover stuff? Because I've tried it before and I've like gotten kind of there, but it's always just like you need to download this insanely sketchy software to do this and that, you know. And I've just never like wanted the clip that bad, you know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. It was a process. Yeah, I definitely, after that point, because I think it probably got around that I was able to recover some of the stuff. after that point, I definitely had people come through or message me. And yeah, I think he might have messaged me at one point and been like, yo, how do you do that? And I don't know if I was able to help him or not. I mean, I told him everything that I would have known at the time, which was what came from like 30 hours of work, which was just really what it was, is just finding the program. Because like you said, there's all these programs that are like, we totally have the clip. We see it. Yep. But pay us $100. And it's like, but does it really see the clip, or is it just like lying?
That's exactly what it is, because it's like, do you just recognize like the name of it, or is it like the whole clip? Is it there?
Exactly. So I finally found one that was showing me a clip, and the best I could get from it is that it was like a black screen, but I could hear the audio, and I was like, okay, I recognize that audio. And I was able to pull. I was like, you know what, screw it. I've dropped like $60 on this program, and I was able to pull like everything off the SD card that like looked good. Like it was like, yeah, this is all the stuff. And then, but like nothing played. It was all black screen and just like audio here and there. And I was like, I thought I got scammed or something maybe, or I was like, I don't know. So I just kept researching, and it took me like another like 10 hours of just like looking through fringe programs and random stuff here and there and like troubleshooting. And I found this like random German application on this website that like wasn't even in English, had to translate it. And I was like, Graham online dot something, dude. I don't even know. Some random site.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this looks like it would do the job. And I dropped like probably $100 on that. And downloaded that, and it was just this random program. It looks like garbage, honestly. Like it just like this can't be it. And then started dropping stuff in, and it was recovering it. It was repairing it. So basically, the other program was to download the footage, and then the other thing was to repair that footage. So
how does it repair the footage? Like, what does that mean?
I have no idea. And it was never perfect. Like it would come through with, you know, kind of some glitches, like, you know, like the green screen kind of glitches where everything turns green, or like kind of glitches, like literally like as if it's like a VHS distortion. Yeah. But not super aesthetically pleasing, unfortunately. So I kind of had to toy around with it to get it, but it was still just kind of like okay, at least I got everything back. Like at least there's that feeling of like, okay, nice. And I think I used a couple of those recovered clips for Austin's thing, but I ended up just, you know, from the fact that we reshot everything pretty much, we just, you know, I was pretty much good to go.
Yeah.
And I remember at Woodward that time, like I was totally unexpecting. You know, they give out the awards at the end. They gave me like one of the awards, which is like the wheel on a chain.
Of course, dude. I have some of those, man.
Yeah, dude. I was totally surprised when I got that. I was like, oh wow, I wasn't expecting that at all. Just for kind of, you know, persevering through it, not like being down on myself too much, you know. But there definitely was something I was definitely like
that, dude. I could only imagine, like that's like especially at that time. You know what I mean? Like you're at your place, you got your friends around you, and you got nothing on your SD card.
Yeah, it's just like oh, I just let everyone down. But luckily, everyone was just like totally like, you know, that stuff happens, and it's not like anybody had stacked like, you know,
a hammer.
Yeah, no like hammers really were lost in the process. That would be another beast for sure if it was like something that you're not doing again, you know. But for the most part, everybody was able to get it after a few tries or something, you know. Like put a little effort in and we got it. So yeah. And I lost my footage at Woodward.
But I feel like it's good that you had that lesson early on, you know what I mean? Because I feel like if that would happen now, you know what I mean? But let's talk about like now. So you've had all of this filming experience and scootering. You've had so much, I feel like so much knowledge learned in it. And then you've transitioned that into like your job now. So like, tell us about that transition from Scooter Doubleavideo into Aaron Hill that we know now.
Yeah, for sure. It was, I mean, a lot of that transition just kind of came naturally when I went to college, so I went to film school. And yeah, I mean, that was around the time when it was all kind of interesting how it worked out in timing because, you know, I was working with MGP for the most part at that time. And then right when I got to college, they kind of had a change in management there. And it was clear to me like, okay, they're probably not going to be looking for too much stuff going forward, which I don't even know if I had the time to dedicate to it anyway. And I still wanted to try to keep up the YouTube a little bit, and I tried that for a little while, but you know, it's just hard. It's hard to balance it, and that was also when YouTube started to get more and more like, you know,
strict about copyright and stuff like that too.
Well, and just more intense of like when the algorithm changed. It was like, all right, we want 10-minute videos. I'm just like, dude, I'm too perfectionist to even give you like a 6-minute video without like weeks of effort. I'm not gonna be able to give you a 10-minute video, you know?
That's so true.
So that all kind of happened at the same time for me, where it was like, okay, it's time to, it's time to kind of transition out a little bit, or, kind of focus on school and do that.
So were you filming these scooter videos consistently up all the way through high school? Like when did you finally like slow down a little bit? Like what point in your life were you at when that happened?
Yeah, it was pretty much like as I was like, I don't know, it's hard to even think about like exactly when it was, because it did just kind of feel like that's just like a big chapter on my life, and all that stuff happened in there, rather than like, there was never a moment where I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. But there was definitely moments where I'm like, I don't know how much more I can film this, because I don't know how, there's not like, I can only film this so many ways. You know what I mean? That's what it kind of came down to. It was like, I can only film this thing in so many ways. And it started to feel like I was just running through the motions to try to like, keep the YouTube going or this or that. And, so at that point, it was kind of like I was mostly focused on towards the end of just making videos for the companies I was working with, because they were like, yeah, we're going to do this video. And it was like, okay, I'm definitely down to do that. But just kind of running out of ideas of like new stuff to do on Doubleavideo, and not wanting to just
Did you feel at one point you had like a spectrum of ideas in front of you that you wanted to execute, and then you pretty much did all of those ideas, and you're just like, well, like, yeah, I mean, I can redo these ideas to the V2, or like, but then it's just kind of like you don't have that same energy going into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like there was definitely like a kind of a heyday to my channel, which of course is one of those things you don't realize when you're in it. But looking back on it, like you can just look at the metrics of the channel and see, or you don't even have to have analytics to look at it. You can just see like there's a part where the views started to go up. And it was like everything I was putting out was getting like consistently at least like 10, 15K views. And that was like, looking back on it, I was like, that's pretty good. Like that was sick. Yeah, like that's cool. Like that was happening, because I wasn't thinking about it at the time. It was just like putting it out, and I was just like, because it's always a thing. Like I feel like a lot of creators struggle with consistency and hitting deadlines. It's
so hard, because I feel like my biggest problem I feel is I have created this character called Future Will, and Future Will, it does everything that Current Will won't do, and that Current Will doesn't do. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's hard because like everything that everything that Clayton and I do together is all just self-employed work and and I feel like it's just like deadlines, just like I feel like I can sit there and I can like imagine myself doing a project, and I always imagine it like half the amount of time than what it actually takes me, and like I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of those things like for me, like deadlines whenever it happens, you like, this sucks, but then like in reality you're like, I'm glad I had that. Yeah. If I didn't have that, I would have been sitting on this for another 2 weeks. Cause
yeah.
The hardest part is just getting started. You got to just.
That's half the battle.
Half the battle for sure. I was telling somebody the other day, that's like 80% for me half the time. It's like, if I can just sit down and do it, like I can knock out like 3 hours of work in a row and like not even look up. But if I have to get myself to sit down, because it's like, oh yeah, I'll do that in like 20 minutes, and then 20 minutes passes, and so on and so forth. And yeah, I mean, that's just something that's, you kind of need them. You kind of need deadlines to a certain extent. And, sometimes they're maybe a little crazier than others. Like I self-imposed one time that I shot one of the SD comps for Lucky. Yeah. And I was like, this is going to be the first video out. I'm like, I'm 100% sure of it, because it's going to be out tomorrow morning. And I shot SD, and then I went home and got home, like the comp was done, and I got home at like 8 or something. Yeah. And I edited until like 5 in the morning and put it out and sent it to him. And it was like up by 10 a.m. the next day.
That must have been a pain in the ass.
Yeah, dude. During it, I was like, why did I say this? Why did I say this? How do I get out of this? But it was like, no, I'm just going to grind it out. Because it was like, because it had become a little bit of a battle of like, like who's getting the first one out. Because for some of those comps, that is what could make the difference. If you've got multiple people filming it and doing that. And, there was a little kind of confusion over the years with that of like who can be filming it and all that stuff. And at a certain point, they like didn't want us to use the name of the comp or something like that. Yeah. So there was always that kind of stuff. And it was just like, all right, I'm getting this video out and pushing it out.
I feel like with those competitions too, there's so much pressure to make sure that they're up the next day. You know what I mean? I feel like it's like the time of it is so important because it's like I feel like every day you don't upload it, it's like those are thousands of views that you lost, or like beyond that, it's like you're trying to make your client happy if you're filming it for somebody. You know, it's like
100%. Yeah, and
opposed to an edit that doesn't really have like a I feel like the hype would carry no matter when it gets dropped. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Those things were definitely like, time sensitive. And I had, I guess I can say this now. It's been years and years, but I had relationships with some of those companies where part of my deal, part of my payment was incentive based. So it was like if it's getting more views, then I'm making more money. So that was part of the thing with that is I was like, I want to get the first video out because I wanted to get some views, and I want to, it was just like I want to see if I can accomplish that feat. I do a lot of things I feel like just to be like, I want to make sure I can do that. Like, can I do that? Like, I want to do that once. And then like once I've done it, I'm like, okay, cool. I know that I can do that. I know that if I really need to, I could shoot a competition, stay up all night, edit it, and get it out before the sun rises the next day. Like, okay, now I know I can do that. Now I don't ever need to do that again unless I have to.
That's true.
I think about.
Do you see yourself doing that still?
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely.
What's the most recent version of?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is like not related to scootering at all and super random, but like I was, I didn't end up doing this, but like I was gonna go on a road trip and I was gonna just sleep in my car one of the nights instead of sleeping at a hotel because I've never slept in my car, and it was just like a thing of like I want to make sure I can do that just in case I need to, in case I'm like homeless or something. Like I want to just be able to sleep in my car, and I told my parents and they're like, no, don't do that. Like, if you need to, you'll be able to do that. And I was like, okay, I guess that's one of those things that I'd be able to do if I had to do it. So I didn't do it. I just slept in a hotel. But that's like that's like kind of the mentality of it. It's just being able to be like, kind of like, what can you withstand?
Now I feel weird about having you stay here.
Why?
Like, I could have made you just sleep in your car outside.
Yeah, I guess you should.
Like, I didn't even have to make your bed or nothing. I could have just, like, you have a life goal you need to accomplish right now, Aaron.
Yeah. Like,
if anything happens, call me. I'm just right outside.
Get it done, bro. Now, like something like that, or like taking an ice bath, something like that. Like I'm gonna stay in here for like 5 minutes in this like 45-degree ice bath, something like that. Like those are things that it's just like, it's kind of like testing your limits.
Yeah. So do you have any aspects of your life where you're like test your limits more? I know you were really into filming action sports and stuff like that, and I know that you've had kind of a new venture on a different type of action sport. And what is that thing?
For sure, yeah, definitely. If anybody still keeps up with me now or watches stories or something, they'll see that I'm riding a wheel.
You're riding a singular wheel.
A single wheel. So it's a electric unicycle, and it is quite a bit of fun. It was just a thing that I picked up from my friend Connor. He was into those, and I had been riding a boosted board around college. And he showed me this thing, and I was like, this is crazy. It took some time to learn to ride it. I always tell people it's like learning to ride a bike. Once you get it, you got it. And just got better and better at that. And now we take it to trails and go downstairs and take it to skate park every once in a while, and just shred them.
Do you ever use it for filming?
I have used it for filming for sure. Definitely like how when hoverboards were a thing, I tried filming once on that.
Yeah, I remember. I think I saw a picture of you with your glide cam.
It was a picture of me filming Chandler Dunn at, I think, his Audie Murphy Ranch skate park.
At AMR. Of course, that's the hoverboard skate park, or that's one of them.
Yeah, so I was riding the hoverboard and filming, and definitely got a mixed bag of comments. I was like, all right, probably just won't post about it in the future if I do film with it, because people are like, bruh. All
right, let me ask you, was it? I know it's like cool to film with a hoverboard, but it's like, was it actually practical with the glide cam?
It was.
Did it actually make the shot better, or was it just like a meme?
It made the shot smoother, but I couldn't get there fast enough. Like there was times where the rider was riding too fast.
Yeah, just beep 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 beep.
Yeah, so I really only tried it that once because it was like, and I remember that shot. That shot was used, and it was good. It was super smooth, but it was couldn't go fast enough. And obviously, then like if I would have needed to go up a ramp or something like that, like when I'm glide cam on my feet, I'm going all over the place. I'm going upstairs, downstairs, up ramps, like on the sides of them, and like can't do that on a hoverboard. So that was like, Yeah, it was more of like a let's see how this is than it was like a practical thing. I think some people probably thought I was like actually doing that all the time or something. It was just like one time. But the wheel actually does like
I feel like the wheel is way more like you have the ability to like actually film something real on a wheel versus a hoverboard.
Yeah, for sure. I filmed some skateboarding the other day just to do like a camera test. And I was like, let's make this a wheel test too and see, and rode around the skate park and filmed that. And it was yeah, I mean, I got some good stuff with it. Definitely more of a realistic tool than a hoverboard would be for that. But yeah.
No, that's sick. That's really cool. So are you doing a lot of filming now? Like you had your whole entire filming career in scootering, you know what I mean? And now and you've been talking about filming on your wheel. It's like, what are you doing with filming now? Like what did scootering propel you into that you're currently doing?
Yeah, so scootering propelled me into just I was able to go into film school with like a lot of the knowledge, like a lot of the tricks.
Did you use your scootering stuff for your college like resume to like get in? Like, did you use your work?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely my essays and stuff, and like my YouTube was definitely on there, like 100%. I think.
Do you think that gave you an edge versus other kids?
I think so. I think a lot of people come into film school from a reasonable perspective, makes total sense, with like, not really having picked up a camera before or not really having a filming experience, which makes more sense than like me going to film school in a sense, because it's like they don't know and they want to learn. I already kind of knew, but it was just like, I know I'm going to go to college. Like my parents wanted me to go to college, and it was kind of just like, all right, what else am I going to do? And my school gave me money. So it was kind of like, all right, college makes sense right now. Yeah. I don't think I got scholarship from them for that. I had good grades in high school, and I think I got a scholarship because of that. But like definitely was something to make me stand out and show like, I mean, I was lucky. I was lucky in, and it wasn't all luck that just fell in my lap. I mean, some of that was work too, but I was super lucky to have like, to get to travel and shoot scootering and do all this stuff that it's like, to tell people about that. It's like, that was a lot of stuff to have done before I even went to college.
I feel like you kind of have like a resume that like a lot of people that I'm sure you're around don't have anything near that. Like you were doing professional work as a kid, you know what I mean? And like that's something that I don't know, a lot of people don't do,
Yeah, it was definitely a good thing to just, learn a lot of the lessons, learn a lot of the hard lessons, and
learn how to format an SD card.
Yep, exactly. Like get those things out of the way. And then also just, I think the biggest thing that like everybody should know how to do, and the thing that like separates you from anybody else, is just being able to have hard conversations. Mm-hmm. That was something I was lucky to have my dad teach me a lot about when I was young. And that was the thing that, that's what it comes down to, like negotiating or, selling yourself for something, is like being able to have hard conversations, or, figuring those things out. You need to be able to sit down with somebody and like hash it out. And I had those conversations. I mean, I was like having full negotiations with, like the head of Lucky or the head of Mad Gear when I was like 15 and 16, and like, figuring out rates and things like that. And it was like, it was daunting to a degree, but it was something I was just like, obviously I got to do this, and getting better at that. Like that was all such a strong like bag of, knowledge, like a strong toolkit to be going into the next phase of my life with.
Okay, so how has like you obviously learned so much in scootering that's like took you to film school. What did you learn in film school that you didn't learn in scootering, and what are you doing now with all of your combined knowledge?
For sure. I don't know. It's always such a hard question, because it's like, I mean, in reality, film school is, I mean, you learn you don't learn that much in the classroom.
Yeah.
You learn most of it when you're shooting something and getting to experiment.
So when you're in film school, is it not that much in classrooms and stuff like that? Like obviously for your like basic education, but like when you're in the film classes, is it mostly like you're shadowing other people? Is it like you're learning like on Scantrons? Like what's that like?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's like you said, it is less in the classroom. I mean, you have the classroom stuff to learn, like theory and, understanding all of that stuff, and then the general ed stuff as well. But for the most part, a lot of people, like, their whole thing is, we're in LA, so it was really about like learning, getting on set experience, what it's
Yeah.
like to work on a film set. And I mean, that was the thing for me that was kind of interesting in that, like, I didn't do that as much in film school because it was just like I mean, it's a grind. Like people grind for it because it's like you have class all through the week, and then you work on set on the weekend because that's the only time that you could do it. That people can shoot their thesis projects or their 300s, 400s, or just like the different levels of projects depending on what grade you are.
Yeah.
Shoot their short films. And they could shoot them on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's like people will go to class all week and then you work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I definitely, did that a few times. So there's some people that like were driven to that and were like doing it all the time. I guess
Wow.
I feel like maybe I wish I did it a little more, but I mean, I had film set experience from acting, so I acted before I ever did.
Yeah. Hold up. Let's rewind real quick. Let's talk about Aaron Hill's acting career. I only know you from your one feature film, Subway Ad. And that was a beautiful piece of artwork. But what else did you do? Like,
You gotta run the clip up.
yeah, you got to run the clip up.
No. Yeah, dude. It was that was the thing that I was into before ever I stepped behind the camera. I was in front of the camera. When I was 6 years old, I just went to my parents randomly one day and I was like, I want to be on TV and make $1,000.
I would make $1,000, mom and dad. Listen to me.
Yeah, I had high expectations.
Just like Subway, I'm gonna have it my way.
Yes. So I said that to them, and they were just kind of like, okay. And then like after a month, they asked me if I still wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah. And so they started to look into it, and I did some stuff in San Diego, but really like where you're really going to be able to get good auditions for things is in LA. I think the first year in San Diego, I got one audition and I booked it. It's for a commercial for a Middle Eastern cereal company.
No way.
Yeah, dude, I've played a lot of different races in commercials. Like,
Really?
Oh yeah, dude, I've been like part black. I've been.
No, you have not.
Yeah, I've been Hispanic like 2 or 3 times. Like I've done like full on Spanish commercials. I only played in Mexico. And then I've been white a bunch, and then Middle Eastern that one time just for that one commercial.
Did you say anything? Did you do anything?
No,
Or
I was just like part of a family. It was like for some cereal company, but we had like robes on, like whatever the garb is. Yeah. And yeah, so that was the first thing I booked. And that first year in San Diego going to auditions was the only one I booked. And someone there was like, you need a different agent. Got a different agent, got a few more in San Diego. And then from there, people were like, you got to go to LA. Went to LA and started to drive up to LA from San Diego anytime I got an audition. So it'd be times driving up like, 3-4 times a week if auditions were like popping off that week and just going to audition after audition. I mean, I've been in the thousands at this point.
Do you really go that often? Like,
Oh, yeah.
was it like a constant grind like that?
Yes, 100%. It
Wow.
was like a part of my life for sure. Like
Yeah.
I did, like it was a thing that, before going to middle school, before going to my high school, we had the conversation with the principal of like, how is, will this something that we can, work through here? Like, cause like, it was always a thing, like I'm willing to work. Like I was always doing my homework and like, I would do it on the drives. Even when I didn't want to do it, it's like, it was a mission for sure, but it was, something that I chose. Yeah, and just doing that.
Did you make good money from doing it?
I mean, I made some money for
Like,
sure.
like did it mostly like just go to your parents, or was it like
No, my parents.
or like you got to keep it?
Yeah, I mean, I got the money. It went.
Did you ever like get the deals for yourself? Like, was it kind of like your hustle, or is it like your parents were like hustling it for you?
I mean, it was like once you get an agent and a manager, like
So it was mostly their hustle. It was mostly
Yeah.
the agents. Okay.
yeah, the agents are sending you jobs and stuff, and obviously my mom is like interfacing that, but it wasn't like a lot of people actually do have the situation where like their mom is their manager or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
My mom wasn't really like that. She wasn't like a stage mom of where it's just like
The beauty pageant moms.
Yeah, not living vicariously. Like it was my deal way more than theirs. It was my deal 100% of the way. At any point, if I would have wanted to stop, then I would have done that. But yeah, I mean, it was definitely a grind, and I did, I basically just did a bunch of commercials. I had a couple TV guest star things, and I had a few things I was really close to getting. Like the biggest one that everyone knows is Modern Family. It was between me and the kid who got the job for Luke Dunphy, who's like the kid of the main the white family on Modern Family, because there's like
Really?
the Hispanic family, the white family, and then like the gay guys. And I would have been the son of that main family.
Whoa, that would have been crazy.
Yeah, and
would've been wild.
ultimately, as I understand it, I guess what I'm speaking publicly to the world, I gotta put the aspects of it, like, this is my interpretation of it. I don't
Yeah,
want to put words in anybody else's mouth, but my understanding of it was that I was the preferred person for the role by like the creators of the show. Ultimately, when you do a television show like that, the final decision on the main cast is made 100% by the network. So the creators of the show have almost no say in that. They get it down to the wire, but you give them 2 to 3 people for any given role, and the network gets to make the decision. They have no say on it.
Dang.
And it's daunting for sure. I mean, you go through a bunch of auditions, and like everyone becomes higher stakes, because it's like now it's getting down to it, like, down to the point where it's like between me and one other person, for this role that, thousands and thousands of people went out for. It's like, oh man. And I just didn't have a good last audition in front of the network. I mean, you walk in there, 11-year-old kid. I mean, of course, the other kid was in the same situation. 11-year-old kid in front of a group of like 30
what does that look
network
like?
executives. Like literally like
Are these people smiling, or are they just like, like are they giving?
No, I mean, they're smiling. They're giving you laughs and stuff.
Okay. It's a good vibe.
Yeah, it's fine as long as you can like get into it. But you could totally like, I mean, you have to be good at that type of thing. You have to learn to, kind of play the room in auditions and walk in and like own the room. Like I'm owning.
And they're
this
looking
room.
for that.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And you got to be able to get to that point, or you could totally walk in and just like start to get nervous and freeze up, and like, of course they're just gonna react like, you got to be able to, kind of play the room. But like that last one, yeah, I mean, it's like you walk in, it's like a dark room, the lights are on you, and it's like 30 network executives, like all these adults right there, and you just gotta sell them on it. But
what do they make you do?
You just go through. What did they make you do, Aaron?
Yeah, in this dark room where all the spotlight's on you, and 30 adults are watching. What did they make you do, Aaron?
You got to read the lines. I mean, it's like at that point you've like read these same lines like over and over and over again. You're just going through the script, and yeah, I mean, it was, it was fine. The audition was fine. It wasn't as cool as like I did like a test, like a network test or a screen test, like a couple weeks before it with. Like at the creator's house, like he put together like his ideal cast, because the guy who got the part, Ty Burrell, who's the dad that he's probably gotten the most like recollection from the show, he couldn't make it to one of the auditions, so they had to do a screen test at his house. So they had brought me in for that to run lines with him. But for that last one, I mean, ultimately, I played it completely different than the kid that they cast. He kind of played it like like he's kind of like a dumb kid, I wasn't playing it like that at all. Like it was like 2 very different character styles. So ultimately, it's just kind of like you just kind of take that for what it is, Like, of course, at the end of the day, you're gonna be like, do I think I would have been better at it? Like, yeah, probably.
I think that would have been the sickest thing. I'd have been like, I know that guy.
Yeah, he's
in a Modern Family.
It was definitely one of those things like for years. Well, no, I mean,
actually, no, that would have affected everything.
Yeah, you wouldn't have met me.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have done most of the stuff in scootering. So when I look back on it now, like if I could right now say like, would I trade like the last, because it was a 10 season long show. I mean, it lasted for 10 years. It was it would have been all those guys, it would have been my entire teenage years from like age 12 to age 22. If I could look back on my last 10 years and say, would I swap it for that? No, absolutely not. Because I'd basically be swapping it for, I mean, I'm sure it was a cool experience for sure, but I wouldn't trade my experiences for that. I feel like most people wouldn't generally. The only reason to do that would be from a money perspective, but it's just not worth it, I mean, that's the only thing that's ever like in the past why I like lost sleep over that was just exclusively from the money perspective, because it's, I've had times where I'm struggling for money, like in college there were points that I just like didn't have a lot of money in my bank account.
And then you would think about just like, network.
Like, oh, he's got a lot of money right now,
Yeah, no,
and money makes things easier for sure.
But something you have to remember too is like money is just an idea. Money is not actually real.
Yeah,
money is just like this conceptual idea every human believes in, and it only exists because all of us believe in it.
Yeah.
And I feel like yes, you might have missed out on some potential energy. That's what money but it's like I feel like it's so much cooler what you did in a way, because you were in the driver's seat of what your life was. And I feel like if you were going to do Modern Family, you would almost be in the passenger seat. Even if you would get more money and almost more recognition, I feel like you wouldn't be calling the shots like you had the ability to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's and that's been a thing kind of coming out of college, that was going through that experience of that is what LA is, right? It's unless you're the director, unless you're the writer, you are helping someone else's creative vision, which is not the worst thing in the world. It's not, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing to help somebody else's creative vision. But that is what I did a lot after college. I kind of jumped into being a first assistant camera, and then working up from there to do some Steadicam work, which is a whole nother beast from GlideCam, but it's, in the same family of, that idea. You're wearing the vest and you have an arm, and you fly the camera on it, but it's like 60 pounds instead of 20 pounds in your hands. So it was kind of learning that craft, and that's what I did for a little while after college, basically up until COVID hit, and was doing that thing. And it was crazy how fast I found myself in the rat race of being like, okay, got to get as many jobs as I can this month, because it's like, gotta get my rent paid, and then I got my rent paid, now I want to get some gear, buy this. And it was just like, job.
So when you were doing all this, was all of the gear your gear, and then you basically had to like you had to support yourself for all the classes, you had to support yourself for all the gear, and you had to orchestrate all of the shoots and everything, and that sounds like a lot.
Yeah, in college it was it was interesting. I did one big job towards the beginning of college. In my first semester of college, I left school for 17 days and went to Bosnia.
Wow.
Because I had my YouTube partner, and they're still my YouTube partner, but I'm not really active anymore, so it's not like I interface with them on a daily basis. But my YouTube partner was Whistle Sports.
Okay.
Which, a lot of people probably just know now as for their content on Instagram. They have a viral Instagram page,
Okay.
They just post memes or sports and anything, but at the time they weren't doing that yet. They were a YouTube partner, and I partnered with them, and they reached out to me, telling me hey, we're doing this project in Bosnia. We've got we're basically doing action sports and filming it on the where the 1984 Winter Olympics were held in Bosnia. But because Bosnia is war torn, it's this third world country, it's all kind of falling apart. So we're gonna build ramps around it, or do trick shots, all these we're gonna get all these different kinds of athletes together. They were asking me for recommendations on scootering guys and a parkour athlete. So I at that point I had done my Spider-Man parkour video. On my channel, which was my most viral video, and I had done that, so I recommended them the guy from that video. And then I gave him Capron and Corey for scootering, because I felt like they were a good fit for what they were asking me for. And then I was like, also, can I come? And he was like, let me get back to you on it. And then 3 days later, he called me, and he's like, hey, we are down to have you come. We want to have you shoot behind the scenes. We're going to bring you out with one other, Whistle Sports YouTube guy from the UK. You guys are going to be on a team together shooting the behind the scenes stuff. Going to come out to Bosnia for 17 days and shoot behind the scenes for the entire thing, and we're going to pay you this amount of money.
That's crazy.
And I was like, bruh.
Yeah, so what happened? So you go
it
on.
Was it was the most that I've been paid for any singular job as well. So I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Because at the time yet, it was I was still at the point of just being oh, I'm so passionate about this, and I would have done it for free, and it's which is a super dangerous thing. And I urge anybody that knows that they're really good at something. They say it, if you're really good at something, don't do it for free. Do it for free if it's a passion project and it's for you.
But it's almost hard especially in scootering. It's like I feel like I feel like it's almost like there's this thing about like it's bad to make money off of it or it's bad to do this and that, but it's like no, it's like your craft. Like it takes so much effort, you know?
Yeah, I think people definitely underrate how much, time and effort, and how you're basically like, when you hire me for a job, if you're hiring me with my gear, then that's one thing, but it's also you're hiring my years and years of expertise.
Exactly.
You're hiring me for the time that I formatted my SD card, and now I'm not going to do it again, because if you're hiring somebody that hasn't done that because they've been doing this for 6 months, they're going to do that.
Yeah.
That is how to look at it. When I say like, when you're good at something, you don't do it for free. It's more about like, there's a lot of people and a lot of companies, especially in California and in Los Angeles in particular, that are going to look for any opportunity that they can to cut costs. And
I feel like they'll just take advantage of you.
100%. I've witnessed it firsthand over the past, year working in LA. I've seen people that are just slimy, but it like goes down the list, like I was connected with a guy who was basically trying to take advantage of me and have me in as like an intern. But like there were people above him that were doing the same thing to him, and people above them doing the same thing. Like it goes down the chain of people just wanting to cut costs wherever they can.
Oh, so like somebody will like be an intern for somebody and then they'll get an intern for themselves.
Yeah, it's just like this chain of like trying to get free labor wherever you can, because like everyone's being undercut. And the way to avoid that is just, and it's easier said than done for sure.
Yeah.
But it's to just know your worth, like know how to value your time and how much your time is worth, and have that known, so that if I'm like, I'm coming out to do this job for, if I'm going to first day see this for $300 a day and that's how much I charge. And then, that way when someone's like, I'll give you $50 for the day, it's like, no, you don't even have to think about it. I know what my time is worth. And you don't have as much of that. But yeah, it's definitely a big thing, I think, knowing how to value your time and then making sure that, you're not doing those things for free. And, when I was going to Bosnia, that was a good time for me to be like, okay, like I do deserve to get paid for, what I'm doing and all the experience that I have and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I went out to Bosnia, I mean, that was a crazy experience. It was wild to be like, I was just making friends in college. It was my first semester, so I made friends with all those people. And then it was like, all right, guys, I'm peacing out for 17 days. And they're like, who is this guy? And I'm like, well, I hope everyone's still cool when I get back, because it's like you haven't known these people for that long.
Yeah.
And then went out there, and I think the biggest takeaway for me there was the A7S2 had just come out. And one of the guys there was shooting with it. That was either like their B or C cam for the project. And I was like, oh man. So I just put like, basically I think all the money that I got paid, just bought an A7S2, pre-ordered it right when I got back, because I was like,
damn,
this is what I need.
This is what I need.
Yeah. And so in terms of like owning gear, like the A7S2 basically carried me through college. Like I shot up most of my projects on that, and yeah, I mean, it basically became my camera, my go-to camera for like many years.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah. And yeah, used it for all kinds of stuff. So yeah, learning with that was a big thing. And yeah, that kind of carried me through college. And then, like I said, after college, I did, worked on set for many months, and then COVID hit. And obviously everybody's lives kind of changed when COVID hit. And so I went down to San Diego.
Yeah.
And because that's where I'm from. Obviously, that's where my family lives. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go be with family. Left my place in LA. It was already like kind of a tumultuous housing situation. So I'm like, I'm out of here. I took my stuff out, put it in a storage locker. And I was like, I'll be back to LA, but I'm going to dip for a few months. And when I went down to San Diego, my good friend Justin Goulet, who I think I already mentioned, is he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
He came up in scootering, and he's a bodybuilder, personal trainer now. And like I was the first person that he trained. So he and I obviously have a relationship with going to the gym together, and he's the one who kind of got me into that. And so I was just like, yeah, I mean, how are we going to, work out? And he's like, well, I've got a friend who owns a gym, and he's got the keys, and they're going to keep it open. Like, they're going to keep it open low key. And I was like, okay. So it was like a trusted group. And, I mean, there was only like maybe like 10 of us that were going there and training. And there really was this thing of like, like we are breaking the law. Like, are we breaking the law doing this, and all this confusion? And like, are we being, reckless? And I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people would say, yeah, for sure being reckless with COVID and all that. But it was just like, for that group of people, and for me, like, dude, I was I was spiraling, bro, at the beginning of COVID, because it was, it was all of that stuff. And then also the recognition of like, I was realizing at that time too, I didn't like the stuff that I was doing as much.
Yeah.
It was like, what am I doing? I'm just doing all these other people's stuff. And it was like all that hitting at once. And I had nothing to do other than sit at home and read the news all day. And it was like, reading the news was not good at that time.
No.
That was like Depression City. So I was like, dude, I got to do something. And going to the gym is what kind of like took me out of that a little bit. And
good outlet.
yeah, for sure. And then at the gym, it was like, a couple weeks in, someone was like, someone should be filming this. And I was like, are you serious? He's like, well, yeah. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I mean, I could film this. He's like, oh, really? I was like, dude, I like did documentary in college. That was like my main focus. My thesis was a documentary. Like that was mainly what I did in college. He's like, oh, I was like, ask whoever you need to ask if we can start filming, and I'll bring my camera tomorrow. He's like, okay. And he did. And he was like, they say any publicity is good publicity. So I started filming, and just filmed the craziness. I mean, it was just like, it was a speakeasy gym. The windows were all tarped up. We had cops rolling by every day trying to, suss out the situation. We had time that I caught on camera of like this moment where it was like they got a tip because they had people on the inside in the sheriff's department that didn't want to see them get in trouble, that were like, sheriffs are coming by, so just letting you know. And they were like, everyone out of the gym. Like
now.
Everyone out, yep. And just like chaos and just like everyone's bouncing out of the gym.
Because I feel like, I don't know, maybe if you're to the point of working out where you work out so much to the point that like when it gets taken away from COVID, it's like you're finding that much of a means to get in. I feel like if you're working out, like really working out, and then you're just like, all right, stop, go, leave. It like that might mess with your head a little bit. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, for sure.
Like for all of those guys, it's like that's their thing. It's like,
well, yeah, and it's definitely one of those things like people, say this thing of like, okay, what's essential, what's not essential? That's been the big question through all this.
Yeah,
right?
is
that business essential, and how do you define that? And the way I look at it is either like, okay, well, either nothing's essential or all of that stuff has its room to be essential. Because like in reality, is anything that we do essential? Not really. Like
not
most
really.
of this is not essential.
Yeah.
Like having a house is not essential. Like we could very easily wipe the face of this.
I always think about like survival mode of humans versus non-survival mode of just like at one point humans really had to go out and hunt their food.
Yeah.
And it's like now we don't. It's like
that's all that would need to be essential. Like all you need would be food. Not even as much as we eat. Like people sort of do 40-day fasts and don't eat for 40 days and just drink water. Like you don't need food every day. You need food a little bit and you need water. And that's all that's really essential. But everything else, but then look at it from the other perspective. Okay, we're living in within
21st century. Exactly.
21st century. Then what's essential? Well, for a lot of these people, the gym is essential for them to not lose their minds. I mean, a lot of these people have PTSD from war. I mean, I've shot with multiple guys that were war veterans, and that's the thing that keeps them like from staying in their head all day. That's for a lot of people it is essential, and that's been the big argument here throughout is like what is.
So has that been a debate amongst the people in the gym as well as like amongst the people? Like I'm sure all of them are like, yes, this is essential, but like is there kind of that debate where they can see it from both sides, and or they can see like I don't know, it's just the confusion. I feel like there's just so much confusion, It's like to them, it's like it's essential to them, but to like me, I don't know, I wouldn't consider it essential,
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I ask them, there definitely are people that, because that's been a big interview question for me. I mean, at this point, for this project, I guess I'll be more concrete about the project is in a sec, but I've asked a lot about like, our gym's essential. And of course, people that go to the gym all the time, they're going to say it, but they can see it from both sides. But I mean, I feel like their explanations for why it is for them is pretty well thought out. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely the hate for sure. It definitely, as it gets more on with more further along with them being able to, people seeing like, okay, these guys are staying open or they're like defying the orders. And, I mean, it's just the way things are right now. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of just like a tendency to look at it from either A or B. It's either black or white.
Instead of the entire spectrum.
Exactly. And for me, that's the main goal with my project.
So your job with the project is you want to encapsulate the entire spectrum of the whole situation.
Exactly. That's my goal.
So are you still filming this right now?
I'm still filming this right now.
And how long have you been filming this for?
I think right now I've shot 88 days.
Wow.
Something like that. I think it's like 87 or 88 days of varied stuff. Towards the beginning, that was like all like pretty much in a row. Like we were shooting pretty much every day. Then of course things started to slow down where there wasn't something happening every day worth filming, or I would pick up an interview here or there with different people that are involved.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I mean, it's been a crazy ride, and it was a good alignment for me.
When will this be released?
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to figure that out.
And how will it be released? Is this, because this is obviously just a project through you? It's like, do you have a bigger outlet that you're going to put this to, or are you going to just drop this on Doubleavideo? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, the goal, obviously, like not to shit on YouTube or anything. Or
No, I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah, no, for sure. But just like to not to be like YouTube sucks. This project does feel like more than a YouTube video for me.
No, this is I feel like there's definitely a difference between like a Netflix show and a YouTube video,
And I think, of course I'm biased, but most of the people that I've shown any part of it to are like, this seems like a Netflix project or something like that. That's ultimately going to be the goal, is to get it on somewhere like Netflix or Hulu, Amazon, Discovery Plus, whatever it is. There's all these different places that are doing the streaming services now. And, I do think it has the legs to stand on one of those platforms because it's an insane story and there's so many different elements to it. And I think the thing that I need to make sure that that the process with it is going to be showing that it's not like political. The way I'm showing it, like I'm not going to be showing it to be like
the city is wrong for this, or like the people in the gym are wrong for like you want to show, you really want to show a balance. It's I
want to show both sides and let people, and I want to let my characters speak for themselves. It's not going to be me.
Like Tiger King or something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to be the one saying, I'm not going to come on the camera and be like, all right guys, this is right, this is wrong. The goal is going to be.
Do you go on the camera?
Are
you a character in your own documentary?
I'm not a character, and I wouldn't say that I'm a character in it. I've been a character in my documentaries before. Which it feels like a natural step, just because I've been on camera and I know that I can appear on camera well and speak well and do what I need to do. But it does feel a little bit like a shortcut and like a cheat code almost. And for this project, definitely, it would feel like a cheat code, because it's like the real dream of documentaries is to be able to get all your ideas across and tell the whole story,
with nothing left over,
and with just using, what your characters have to say on it. Let them tell the story. Let them tell their story. You're telling their story, but you're
presenting their story. They're telling it.
Yes, exactly. And that's the goal. And then to be able to just be like, me come on camera and do a voiceover, the goal, of course, is going to be do that as little as possible. It's sometimes it's harder than others, but that's ultimately the goal. But yeah, it's a very expansive project. It's the biggest thing that I've ever taken on, and
I feel like it's the next. I feel like it's the next step, though. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like everything through your life that we've talked about, it's kind of just led you to this point.
Yeah.
I'm super stoked to see what you do with it, man. Like honestly, like I think that you have so much knowledge and experience going into this. Like I think when this documentary does come out, it would be really like I really want to see it. And I really want the scooter community to be like, yo, that's Doubleavideo. Like this is what he's doing now.
I would hope so, man. I definitely had one comment on there about someone who's like, I remember when you did like kendama videos or something, and now you're doing this. It's like another step. But yeah, definitely, I would love for that kind of an embrace in that way. It's just. I don't know. I've been apart from the scooter community like at large for a little while, and I'm still here for sure. I'm still keeping up with everybody.
You're here right now.
I'm here right now. I'm still watching it, and I'm still watching people's stuff and shooting every now and then. I did the me and a couple of my LA guys shot the Woodward West action space content.
Yeah.
I don't think it's come out yet as of now, but I'm still here and shooting it when I can, but. Yeah, for me right now, the main focus of my life for sure is that project. It's just kind of become, kind of my, up to this point, my magnum opus. But it is one of those things where it's also, I know that it's just, you always want to be looking back on yourself and being like, all right, that was good, but I could do it better, And it's always been like that. And for me right now, I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm working on. But, it's expansive. It's the biggest thing I've taken on. So, I'm doing what I can. I launched a GoFundMe recently just to see if I can raise some money for it, just in terms of, it is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that once COVID started to let up a little bit and people started to go back to work, I started taking more jobs here and there. But, it's just one of those things, like every job you take for someone else is like pulling you further away from the thing you want to be working on. So, I've been lucky to have some support with that so far, and yeah, just gonna keep working on it and see where it goes.
Hell yeah, Aaron. Well, dude, I've appreciated having you on this podcast so much. I feel like I know you so much better as a person, and like just your story and your come up and everything. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you for having me. It was a blast.
For everyone that wants to check out Aaron's socials, what you're on Instagram? What's your main place that you want people to view your content? Where would that be?
Yeah, I mean, my Instagram, I still post on there, is at Doubleavideo.
Where could they get updates about your documentary?
Yeah, the documentary would be at Fitness Prohibition.
Okay.
Or fitnessprohibition.com.
Sweet.
But yeah, I mean, if you just find me on Doubleavideo as well, I got Fitness Prohibition in my bio on the website and everything. And yeah, I'm definitely pointing some more people there and trying to get some hype up for that. Yeah, so.
Hell yeah. Well, hey, thank you so much for coming on, Aaron. And thank you guys for tuning into this Undialed podcast. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.